Meeting up a lot this week to talk about weather impact alerts. And here we are once again talking about them. Tomorrow, I think our biggest weather impact alerts are going to be, or impacts are going to be basically the second the precipitation starts until about noon. And the reason is once we hit noon, we're going to warm up enough that some of those impacts that we see aren't necessarily going to be as impactful. It's the best way I can put it. So for now, we're under that KREM 2 weather impact alert. Look downtown. Well, it's not too bad, but we are expecting freezing rain in central Washington, snow in eastern Washington and North Idaho before temperatures soar heading into next week. Seriously, right now we are under a weak ridge of high pressure. You can almost draw it on just following some of that water vapor imagery. So as you look, that's kind of what we're seeing. Now, when we take a look at this, we're looking for a little disturbance. Here's one right here, and that is going to be tomorrow's storm. Our next one seems to be right about there, and that's going to set up that influx of moisture next week that's going to start to warm us up. So it's a big change over the course of the next couple of days. But being under that ridge, it's very difficult for us to get any sort of moisture out. So down low at the ground, our temperatures are going to play a role in what kind of precipitation we wind up seeing. The big area of concern for me, this is 9 o'clock at night. This is 9 o'clock Wednesday night. These are our current temperatures. Wenatchee, Moses Lake, Othello, and we'll even group Ritzville into that. That area right there, this area I circled, we are going to keep a really close eye on because that is where we have the potential to see freezing rain tomorrow morning. If those temperatures stay above freezing down at the surface and we keep our ground nice and warm, the freezing rain impact will be a lot less substantial. Basically, if it stays warm, that warm layer where everything melts falling from the sky will then keep things warm down near the surface so it won't act to refreeze as it falls. We are seeing some dense fog out in a few of those locations. Down in south central Washington, in freezing fog as you make your way out just past Gorge down into Yakima along I-82. I think those are two things to watch. But we know that incoming storm is going to bring us snow. And Thursday, we are looking at 4 to 8 inches of it. Seriously, over 4th of July and Lookout Pass. So we know there's snow coming and we know it's hitting the mountains. What it does down low is where things get interesting. Here's it moving in. I think our onset tomorrow morning is our best potential for slick conditions. That light white you see in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, those will likely be a couple of light flurries or even a little bit of a mist in the air. That could create some of those slippery driving conditions. Where you see the pink out near Ritzville, moving to, I would say, all the way the western edge of Lincoln County. That's where you're going to see the potential for freezing rain. Stretches from Grand Coulee down to about Ritzville. That's our big area of concern. Remember, if these other areas stay a little bit above freezing, it'll likely be a rain-snow mix that just kind of melts as it falls. So things are really, really up in the air for what winds up happening. There is that potential for freezing rain, but those temperatures have to drop. Then notice this stark line. It's a really, really sharp difference between the rain in central Washington, basically the entire Columbia Basin, and then our wintry mix making its way up towards Spokane. And then seriously at about Steptoe, we get that cutoff. Highway 2 in north is snow. Spokane, Coeur d'Alene winds up snow. And then you draw that line down into the Palouse, and it is snow. It is a wet, heavy snow that comes down. Getting that to accumulate is going to be pretty tough. And when it comes to our snowfall and duration, it doesn't look to be one of those ones where it's going to be a crazy amount of snow. Instead, it looks to be one of those wet, heavy ones that, despite it snowing throughout the day, just doesn't necessarily really pile up. And then what I like about this is that later in the day, it does look like things warm up enough in Spokane that we start to see more of a rain in downtown. I know it's that same pink we saw earlier for that freezing rain. Unfortunately, we just don't have a great way of depicting the difference in that. So what we will say is that your pink in downtown later in the day is not freezing rain, but instead our ground temperatures wind up above freezing. So we get rain or fast melting snow down there. While places like the South Hill, Coeur d'Alene, you look around even Post Falls, moving up to Hayden, you are likely in some of that snow as it moves in. So it's right on that fine line. Now, once we move through Thursday afternoon and get into Thursday evening, it starts dying down. But notice not until about midnight does it all move out of some of the more populated areas. We hang on to it over Lookout Pass until Friday morning. And then we shift our sights down to the south and out to the west, because here is our next swath of what is headed our way. That one, to me, not near as interesting. It's going to be rain. We are just way too warm to see anything other than rain. Now, when it comes to snowfall, going to stick to this. It's less than an inch. It really doesn't pile up. Despite seeing snow, it just doesn't pile up for anyone. It's less than an inch just about everywhere. It's less than an inch. You get up into the mountains, you'll squeeze out a few inches. Lookout Pass. I think at the bottom of those mountains, 3 to 6 is very possible on Thursday. By the time we get to the weekend, I think we're talking a lot more snow. So this is just Thursday's storm. And then remember that area that we talked about a little bit earlier. Let's see if we can go ahead and change the color of this. Actually, I can't change the color of my line, unfortunately. So let's just draw this line if you can see it. Nope, let's go ahead and erase that line if you can see it. One more time, we're gonna draw this line. Reason being, I have to make sure the line is pretty good when it comes to where it goes for what we are potentially going to see. There, that line is much better. That's our area where we have that potential for freezing rain. It is best in the area, I would say here, just kind of Ritzville all the way up until about Steptoe. That's where we're going to see the best potential for that freezing rain. I think if your temperatures drop below freezing tonight, then you have the chance of freezing rain. If they don't, not really a big contender. And a lot of those temperatures are staying pretty mild. So I would say if you look at your thermometer right now and you go, okay, I'm below freezing, then potential for freezing rain if you're in the Columbia Basin tomorrow morning. If your temperatures are above freezing, you're most likely good to go. But just know that if it's falling and it's hitting your windshield and it's kind of doing that icy freeze over thing, the roads are the same. So just kind of allow some extra time. It's a weird weather pattern with this one. Most of us wind up with snow. By tomorrow evening, it's warm enough just about everywhere that I would say we are no longer in that weather impact alert because temperatures make it so all that snow melts. Remember when we talked the 3 T's of snowfall? I can actually pull up that graphic here really quick because I don't think Thomas has updated it since I made it. All right, the 3 T's of snowfall. Temperatures, timing, totals. We aren't getting much snow, so we'll ignore the totals. And when it comes to temperatures, remember that 4 a.m. to noon window is our biggie. That's where we're going to see that biggest potential for that snow to stick and have some impacts. That's why that timing is important for this weather impact alert. 4 a.m. to noon. Once you're getting out the door in the morning and moving, you're just encountering it. By the time you come home in the evening, I think temperatures are way too warm, and so it's no longer going to stick and no longer going to have some of those bigger impacts. Now, as we get closer to the weekend, it is just so much warmer that all of our snow just winds up in the mountains. For us, that means it's all rain. It's all rain really below 4,000 feet the next few days once we get through tomorrow morning. We have winter storm watches in effect for 4th of July and Lookout Pass. Lookout Pass, we are talking 7 to 15 inches of snow total by the end of the weekend. You knock off that 3 to 6, we'll say 4 to 9 inches of snow over the mountain pass by Saturday night, Sunday. It's going to be a very interesting one. 4th of July pass, you're hovering right on that edge. Remember, when it comes to our mountain passes, I have a graphic for this. When it comes to our mountain passes, our elevation is really, really close to that 4,000 mark when you get to, say, halfway up Lookout Pass. 4th of July pass, a lot of that falls is going to be rain because it's so much warmer. That Friday is likely pretty accurate. Thursday, it is likely going to be pretty low compared to where we are now. So here's how this plays out. We are going to start where we left off with the other one. So this is Friday morning. It is likely coming down as rain here in Spokane through the middle of the day. You head north, I think you might get a little bit of a nasty wet snow. I think it's a similar story once you cross state line. Forecast models might iron this out and say, yeah, we're going to lean more toward rain coming down in Coeur d'Alene and Spokane. Friday, I think we're just way too warm. If it is a mix at all, it's going to be rain mixing with snowflakes, not the other way around. And that is a big difference. Rain coming down and then snowflakes mixing in means everything kind of melts as it does. It just falls, melts, not really a big deal. When your snow mixing with rain, that's where you have that potential for accumulation and sticking and that kind of thing. And when you have to be talking some pretty incredible rates to get snow to stick when it's predominantly a rainy mix. So that's Friday afternoon. By the time we get to the weekend, notice our chance kind of tapers off. Saturday's an interesting one to me because I think, I don't want to jump the gun here, but it could be one of our best chances of seeing some sunshine here in Spokane. Not a great chance, but one of our best chances in the next week of seeing sun. We are just in a very wet pattern by the time we get to the middle of next week. Saturday, wind starts picking up. We start to see a bit of a change, and then that's when temperatures climb. Now, let's talk something actually fun. Producer Will, do we have a Schweitzer mountain camera? There we go. Schweitzer officially opened up today. Cascade Express is one that was taking people up, and it's not Cascade Express. What is it called? Anyway, the one right there that you see on the screen is the one that was taking skiers and snowboarders out. First mountain to open up in the region, always a fun thing. A lot of man-made snow, but as you can see there at the base, starting to mix in some of the natural stuff, and we're starting to get some of those opening dates of the other resorts around the region, which is pretty cool if you're asking me. So Schweitzer, they've got things going, and when it comes to their snow, 8 inches of snow of that natural stuff, a nice solid base of the man-made stuff. These numbers that you're looking at, mostly just those natural numbers. So looks like Mount Spokane tentatively opens next Saturday, 49 degrees north. To be determined. I've seen they're making a lot of snow. Things are looking pretty good. They're posting some videos of some park skiers and snowboarders getting hyped on the season. Always seems to be those kids out there who are really eager for those first turns. Schweitzer, early season conditions. Silver Mountain, early season conditions. They open Friday. Lookout Pass opens Friday. And Lookout Pass, I think, is the most interesting to me. Reason being, Lookout Pass is all natural snow. They don't make any of their own snow. And so if they're opening Friday, that just goes to tell you we're starting to see some of that snow up in the mountains. Things aren't necessarily great. Let's take a little bit of a detour right now and talk an interesting graphic. Our mountain snowpack, well, it's not looking great. Most places are 50% or less. Not until you get into north central Washington are we really starting to see some of that snow. But that's not any of our ski resorts. So when you're talking Mount Spokane, 49 degrees north, Silver Mountain, Schweitzer, even Lookout Pass, all of them, you're really just right around 40% when it comes to your snow water equivalent versus the seasonal norms by now. So we're sitting at about 40% of snowpack. Not a lot of snow. Not a lot of snow, but we do have some in the forecast this weekend. Saturday, Sunday, it stays cold enough up in the mountains that what falls stays as snow. Yeah, that might be the end of what we see. It's not a lot of snow, it's a couple of inches, but hey, anything we can get right now does make a big difference. As we get into next week, things do change quite dramatically. Saturday, Sunday, we are warm. 43 degrees Saturday, 45 Sunday, overnight lows here in Spokane, going to be way up above freezing. Next couple of days, we're up and pretty close to freezing overnight. Afternoon highs in the mid and upper 30s. But seriously, by the time we get into next week, we are going to start to really warm up. We're talking a big injection of moisture. We're talking a huge bump in temperatures. And that could get us close to record high temperatures in December. Yeah. I confidently said not that long ago that we were going to see a white Christmas this year. I will admit I was overzealous. I really wanted to see a white Christmas. It has been a really long time since we've had one of those here in town. So, hey, it's supposed to be a 50-50 shot. I figured I might get lucky. I don't think that's the case. Tomorrow we're under that weather impact alert. Freezing rain for parts of central Washington, snow for us. Before noon, I think that's a bigger contender. Seriously, before, say, 8 a.m., we'll have some of our biggest impacts. 8 to noon, it's more snow, and it could be coming down good enough that we see some sticking. By the time we get to the afternoon, I think it's all warm enough that it starts melting. By Friday, 38 degrees. That means anything that comes down and it looks like snow is going to melt like rain. It's just going to be way too warm. 43 by Saturday. Our best chance of seeing sun here in Spokane, I think if you're out in Airway Heights, you have a better chance than you do if you're in Spokane Valley. It's that kind of system. Where if you're over in Idaho, could very well be looking at a lot more of that moisture. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, temperatures climb. We are near 50 degrees by next Tuesday, and next Wednesday looks like it's right around there. Monday, not too far from it. So those 3 days there next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, believe it or not, that is near record high territory. That is some serious warmth taking over, along with a substantial shift in the weather pattern. We're talking tons of rain across the region. But for now, let's just focus on tomorrow. A little bit of patchy, freezing rain for parts of central Washington and snow for us here in eastern Washington. And that weather impact alert will likely remain in place through about noon tomorrow.